Some newer faces in the lineup as more players circle in and out of the Northwoods League. Bottom of the second, Waylon Walsh hits a single into left to put a man in scoring position. And next batter from Canada, Benji Kautu with a single of his own to bring home Andrew Ermis, who just joined the team from TCU. And the Huskies get their first run of the ball game. In the fourth inning, Anthony Cepeda reaches on a single, then Ermis steps up and delivers a double to left as his first extra base hit as a Husky. And Duluth still in business with runners in scoring position. Walsh comes through with an RBI single. Huskies up 2. Walsh had himself a nice 3-hit night. The Huskies win 5-2.